tell if I should block them or just let them through. The moments we're together, everything is cool. But at this point in life, I don't know what to do. I gotta know when to stay and when I should go. Learn my lesson a while ago. Where I'll end up, nobody knows. Should take it slow, move with caution along this road. Could be dangerous, I don't know. But at this time, I'm just trying to pick up the vibe. I feel like it feels right this time. Maybe not, I can't quite decide. But at this time, maybe I should just live my life. Let it go and enjoy the ride. Maybe not, I can't quite decide. Keep calm when the wind blows. I know everything gonna work out, so I aim up high when it feels low. I know it's hard to trust someone these days, and I know I go overboard when I think about all these things. Thoughts inside my brain, try to keep it sane. I gotta know when to stay and when I should go. Learn my lesson a while ago. Where I'll end up, nobody knows. Should take it slow, move with caution along this road. Could be dangerous, I don't know. But at this time, I'm just trying to pick up the vibe. I feel like it feels right this time. Maybe not, I can't quite decide. But at this time, maybe I should just live my life. Let it go and enjoy the ride. Maybe not, I can't quite decide. But at this time, I'm just trying to pick up the vibe. I feel like it feels right this time. Maybe not, I can't quite decide. But at this time, maybe I should just live my life. Let it go and enjoy the ride. Maybe not, I can't quite decide. But at this time, pick up the vibe. Feels right this time. I can't decide. But at this time, just live my life. Enjoy the ride. But at this time, I'm just trying to pick up the vibe. I feel like it feels right this time. Maybe not, I can't quite decide. But at this time, maybe I should just live my life. Let it go and enjoy the ride. Maybe not, I can't quite decide.
Hello, everybody. I am Thomas. Welcome to a little bit of a different stream where I'm going to be going over my GenCon experience. Hello there, Dean. Welcome on in. 8 a.m. there. So morning. It's 8 a.m. It's almost 10 here. So it's also morning. I got my cup of coffee I've been sipping on. I woke up a little bit ago. I slept in a little bit, but I always like getting a decent start on my weekend days so I can feel like I've done something. But hope everybody's doing good. It has been a bit because I've been at GenCon and then had this last week where I've just been having fun, so I'll talk about that here soon. But yeah, hope everybody's doing good. I'm looking forward to just going over my GenCon experience. I know for Origins, I did a video, but I did not do as good of a job at taking photos and videos for GenCon, so I'm gonna have to just talk about my experience here in a live stream. I'll go over my haul. I'll do a recap of the games that I wanted to buy and try, and talk about if I bought them or tried them. Go over the huge drama. I got myself into hot water multiple times apparently at GenCon, so sure you've already heard about the drama. We'll get to that at some point. Big drama, huge. It's the talk of the town. But besides that, yeah. What did I just kick? Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to getting into chatting a little bit. Just chatting today. It's probably gonna be a short stream. I mean, I'm just gonna, like I said, talk about my GenCon experience, go over the stuff I got. I imagine an hour, maybe a little bit more. So yeah. Okay, well, I will kind of switch the music over. Hopefully the music's not too loud or anything. I think should be a pretty good level. Switch it over to the chill Sims music. Love this. Nightbots reminded me to hydrate, and hydrate I shall. Hello there, Dallas. You've heard people got COVID. Don't have to disclose anything. Was that indeed a problem for me? Unfortunately, that was a problem. Yeah, that's something I will talk about. But yes, I was an unfortunate participant in that. I had some. Yeah, okay, so we can hop around. I always talk about that. So I got a lot of cool stuff at GenCon. Gonna talk about all that here soon, but like I kind of just mentioned with Dallas that along with the cool games I brought back, I apparently brought back COVID, unbeknownst to me. Pretty much what happened was, I think it was like Saturday, because I was there Thursday. I got there Thursday all day, Friday all day, Saturday all day. And I was planning to do Sunday part of the day. But then Saturday, towards the end of the day, I noticed my throat started to hurt a little bit. I assumed it was because I was like dehydrated a little bit, because I wasn't drinking as much water as I normally do. I'm usually do a pretty good job of staying hydrated. But then Sunday morning, it persisted, and I noticed I had a bit of a runny nose. I'm like, this is kind of weird. Like, I usually have full-time allergies. It's a bit early for that, but maybe that's part of it. But then I was like, I'm already feeling kind of tired. I'm not gonna go back to the con for Sunday, so I just drove home. And then Monday, both things persisted but got worse. So like my throat still kind of hurt. I was just having like constant runny nose. I felt like I had a fever. So I'm like, okay, this is like cold symptoms. I don't get colds much, so let me go like to CVS. Let me get like an at-home COVID test, which I've never done one of the at-home ones before. So that was a pleasant experience, shoving that thing up your nose and swirling it around. Oh, it's great times. Yeah, I did that Monday, like afternoonish. I took an at-home test and it came back striking positive, because there's like the two lines that show if you have it, and they were both like, oh, even if one's like a little faded, that means you had it. And they were both like super solid, and I was like, great. So yes, I did catch it. Fortunately, it wasn't too bad most of this week. For some reason on Wednesday, I don't know if that was just the peak of it, because I did the test Monday. Tuesday it started getting worse, and I noticed Tuesday night or like evening, my taste and smell started going, which I remember I've only had COVID I think one other time, and I remember that was a thing that happened to me as well, and I'd heard about it in the past. So I was like, that's fun. And then Wednesday it knocked me on my ass. Like, I was out for the day. I didn't get out of bed till like 1:30. I just had like massive headache. I had nausea. It was like definitely the worst day of it. It was not fun. And then like once I got out of bed, I was like, I just need to take it easy. So I just played some board games a little bit that day, and then hopped on my computer later that evening once I knew like, okay, headache's gonna go away. And then so that was like Wednesday, and then Thursday started feeling better. Yesterday started feeling better. Today, I mean, I feel like I'm pretty much back to normal. So I actually took another at-home COVID test this morning, like right before stream, like maybe a half hour before stream, just to see where I'm at. And it did come back negative. So I think I'm good. Like, I have some errands I wanted to run today, so I'm probably gonna still like wear a mask, sanitize my hands beforehand, but the test came back negative. So I'm like, hey, I think I'm in the clear now. I'm definitely feeling pretty much back to normal. So that's good. But yeah, that was a whole thing. I know I'm pretty active on Reddit, and there's a GenCon subreddit. And I remember, I think it was like Monday, one of the top posts that was like hot for that day was a post about like, oh, someone got COVID and a couple of other people in their group got COVID. And it was just people asking like, who else got COVID? And it was like a lot of people were saying they did. So I was unfortunate, but luckily it seems like it's run its course and I didn't get it too bad. So yeah, that was not a fun, and that's part of the reason why I haven't done much this week as far as videos or streams, because I have been feeling not too great. Hello there, KDK. Happy Sunday to you too, or Saturday. I don't want to say Sunday. I'm used to streaming on Sunday, but happy Saturday. Yeah, so that was not too fun, but like I said, I think I'm kind of at the tail end of it now, so I'm chilling. I was really wondering, because it was a big convention. It was a huge convention. I mean, this year, GenCon, if I'm remembering right, it was the first year in GenCon's history that it sold out before the convention even started. I think a lot of the times, like last year, Sunday might sell out like day of or something like that, but I think this is the first year that they sold out before the convention even started. So it was, and I will say, like, this is my third time going, so I'm not too experienced, but I will say this felt like the most crowded of the day or the years, especially on Thursday. Like, I went on Thursday thinking, oh, maybe not as many people are gonna go, and it felt more crowded than Friday. And then Saturday I was kind of bouncing around places, so yeah. Felt bad because I got a negative going to the con and then had it at the con. Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh, yeah, you said you went to a con that's right around that time. Okay, which con did you go to, Dallas? Great. Glad you're feeling better. Yeah, me too. Like I said, I'm pretty fortunate that I didn't get it too bad, and I tried to do the best I could this week of, like, I don't know, going for walks, getting more sunlight, drinking lots of, like, Gatorade, orange juice. I don't know, trying to take my vitamins, stuff like that. So, hopefully it's over. And I think, like I said, I had a negative test this morning, so I think it's good. But yeah. Well, what I might do is just kind of go over a day-by-day recap best I can of my experience at GenCon, and talk about kind of what I did, who I saw, drama I got into, and then I'll go over some of the games I got. They're just sitting right off screen. You can kind of see one peeking through there. Whoops, a little bit of a spoiler. I also posted it on my Discord, so if you're part of the Discord, you kind of got an early access sneak peek of what I picked up. But I didn't get too much, but I'm pretty happy with the stuff I got. Some of the games I've been really enjoying, and I'm excited to talk about. Oh shoot, some of them aren't on the table. I'm gonna have to go grab one because it's in my office. I just remembered, but I'll get to that later. So GenCon, for those that don't know, I live in Ohio, so GenCon takes place in Indianapolis. So for me, it's just right across the state line. It's from my place. It's I think it was a little less than a 3-hour drive, so not too bad. So I got a 4-day pass, got a hotel. Okay, let me talk about hotels real fast. For those that don't know, GenCon is obviously a big gaming convention, and so hotels are tough to get. And so what GenCon does is they have a kind of housing portal that they handle a lot of the housing through, like GenCon's website, just because it's such a big event. That's like the best way for them to manage it. And so because it's such a big event, they also do a bit of a housing lottery where when you buy your badge, you get a time slot to pick hotels, and the most coveted hotels are the ones that are connected to the convention center. There are, I think, a good number of them that are connected either like directly with a skywalk, or some like you might have to go like a couple buildings around. There's some that are really close, like within a couple of blocks. There's some that are downtown, and then there's some that are like you're gonna have to Uber or something to get to your hotel. So there's kind of a wide range of hotels. Last year I got pretty fortunate with snagging a good one that was downtown, but it was like 4 or 5 blocks away, so it was like less than a 10-minute walk. It was super nice. This year, as much as I tried to get a good, nice downtown hotel, I just couldn't. They were just going too quick. So I still feel like it was a decent hotel. I mean, I liked it overall, but it was not walkable. It was, you had to like to basically take an Uber there. And it was like maybe 2 miles away, 2.5. I forget exactly how far away it was from the convention center, but unfortunately not walkable. So I drove over Thursday morning bright and early because I wanted to be at the exhibit hall when it opened up, because the exhibit hall is kind of the main attraction in GenCon. There's obviously a lot of stuff going on in other places, but that's like the main place where you can buy games and demo games with, the vendors. And so that opens up at 10 a.m. So I was like, okay, it's like a 3-hour drive. I need to be there at 10. I'm gonna leave some spare time. So I think I left at like 6:30 ish, because I want to give myself like a half-hour leeway room to like park, and just in case there's traffic. But drive over went smooth. Parking took a bit to figure out, but then I got it figured out, and got there at like 9:30 ish. I got like maybe with 20 minutes to spare, which was nice. And man, I was shocked. Like I said, Thursday is normally like not one of the, of like the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, supposed to be the not busiest of the day, but it was packed. I guess I do have a video I can try to show on my phone. It would probably be better if I could put this up like on the stream, but let me see. I'll just play it for a second. But there were a lot of people. I mean, it was like just absolutely crowded. I know this is a jank way of showing it. There's a lot of people though. It was packed. looked, and this video was taken at 9:45, so still 15 minutes ago. But Thursday started, and I have my list that I have prepared of games I want to buy, games I want to try. But the issue is, like, there's a lot of games, and I didn't know, like, I have to kind of strategically plan out, like, you know, which games do I think are going to be the hottest, that are going to have the least amount, so which boost do I need to get to first at risk of, like, not picking up a game. So doors open, and I'm kind of, like, not feeling prepared. Like, even though I got my list on my phone and, like, sorted by whatever, I was like, okay, I don't know what to go to, so I'm going to go to grab the search for UAPs was my first stop. Actually, technically, I went by the Dice Tower booth because I just didn't know where else to go, and I was kind of in a panic, and I saw the sign for it. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go pop by the Dice Tower booth. So I popped by that booth at like the first couple minutes of the hall opens. There wasn't really anybody there, but Tom Vassell was there. Got to meet him, got to chat with him for a little bit. He was they were setting up, it was cool. At the Dice Tower booth, they had a table set up that they were playing games at throughout the con, which is really cool. And so the first game that they had set up on the first day was Gloomhaven Buttons and Bugs. And Tom was there, and then Z Garcia was at the table, another member of the Dice Tower. And so Tom was like, hey, you want to sit down and play Buttons and Bugs? I was like, I kind of do, because I really do like Buttons and Bugs, but I was like, I got games to get, Tom. I was like, I got places to go. I can't sit here and, you know, just show up Z because I'm so good at Gloomhaven. So I was like, I gotta go. But it was cool getting to chat with him just for a little bit. But then I was like in a panic. I was like, I don't know where to go. I don't know where. Okay, search for UAPs. I feel like that's one that maybe is going to be kind of like a hot item. So I grabbed that and I snagged it. First game got. Okay, great. So then I was like, I don't know where else to go. So I was like, okay, The Gang. That's another game that's high up on my list that I want. The Gang by Cosmos, the people that made The Crew. It's like their version of it's like I don't know. It's like a spiritual sequel of The Crew, where instead of cooperative trick taking, you're doing cooperative Texas Hold'em. It's a pretty cool idea. And I went to the booth and they were already sold out. Second booth and they were like, nope, sold out already. And I was like, what? I didn't know this. I would have gone there as like my first booth if I knew that, not like my third, and just kind of wandered over. So I was like, okay, it's only the first day. Surely I can get The Gang another day. So I was like, I'll return. So I went around getting some other games. I went to I forget the booth that made this, the Board and Dice booth, which is had a couple of hot games that had Reef Project and Windmill Valley were also there. Two games that personally I wasn't really interested in. Maybe I haven't looked enough into them because it seemed like they were a pretty hot item of the con, but I went there to get Frostpunk Side Quest, which I don't know much about this game, but from my understanding, these side quest games are kind of, I don't want to describe them as escape rooms, but they're kind of like escape room style things where you have like puzzles and challenges. You can only play through them once. They're kind of like a bit of a story, but they're themed around another game. So they had one for the board game Nemesis. They had one for the board game Seventh Continent. And then they had one for Frostpunk. And I picked up this one, which I've never personally played the video game too much or the board game at all, but it sounded kind of cool having like a survival based puzzle game. Yeah, I'll just read the description. SideQuest Frostpunk provides players with engaging puzzles and interesting storylines in difficult positions. The game tests your creativity, perceptiveness, and ability to think outside the box. It's time to join the expedition to ensure we have enough resources to survive and keep the generator working. I think that sounds pretty cool. It's like $16, I think, fairly cheap. So I was like, you know what? Got it. Okay, got a couple of my games on my list. Game number 2 on my games to buy was Arcs, and I had come to the decision I'm not going to get Arcs. A, because I figured it was going to be a very tough game to get, and also, I don't know, I didn't want to get too many games and have I've been really trying to get better about games that I buy. I want to try to play as soon as I get them. And Arcs, like, especially since it doesn't have a solo mode, I was worried like this is gonna be a tough game to try to get to the table at some point. And I'm sure with how popular it's been, I'm sure it's going to be pretty easily able to just go on and buy it if I want to get it at some point. So I passed on getting Arcs. I was like, okay, what's next? I was like, what other booths am I near? Gentle Rain is a game I'd heard about. Did I get Gang? I'll come back to that. I'll come back to it. But Gentle Rain, booth kind of towards the back right corner, but is a solo game that I heard much about. It's very chill. From my understanding, and I could be wrong in saying this, so don't quote me on this, but I feel like this is a game that had a print run at some point, maybe under a previous publisher, and then it's just not been available for a while. And I think this is either a new print run or a new company that picked it up, and so now it's more widely available. So I did pick up Gentle Rain. What was cool, I didn't realize this, they had 2 different versions of it. They had a more deluxeified version that had like 3D flower blooms on it, and then they just had the regular like kind of small box version, which is the version I got. I was skipping some chat. You went to GenCon, not the same one you had COVID at. Oh geez, everything's multiple hotels. You have to memorize a maze of horizontal vertical pathways to get places. Beginning hotels, TV broadcasts some big panels, only at certain ones though, so it adds value. DragonCon, yeah, I don't know if I've heard of that one. Okay, but it's kind of how Gen Con is, because everything is in the central like convention center, but then they have so many stuff going at so many hotels. You have to take skywalks to some, and other ways you have to go like the other side of the convention center. Like, it is kind of a maze. So I feel that. So then I think that was the main things I got Thursday. What was also cool on Thursday, I'll quickly talk about this now, is I saw a lot of people I recognized, like other YouTubers, and it was really kind of cool. Some of them I knew that were going to be there. I mentioned I went by the Dice Tower booth, saw Tom Vassell, Z Garcia right away, which is pretty cool. Chat with them a little bit. But like I said, I was like, I got games to get. I got to get out of here. And so as I was walking around, I also saw that the YouTuber Ginny D, I don't know if any of you are familiar with, she is, I think I would say she's primarily a Dungeons and Dragons YouTuber, but she had a booth there. And I was like, oh, if you may have not realized, I'm not as into Dungeons and Dragons as I was at one point, but when I was like super into it, I watched a lot of her videos. She made super good videos. She even made one a while back about like solo RPGs, which was really cool for like, she's a big YouTuber. So having someone of her, like, YouTube size making a video about solo RPGs was really cool, and it was well done. So I was like, oh, that's cool. I was gonna try to like, at least stop by and say hi, but she was only there for certain times, and there was like a decent line pretty much every time I walked by. So I didn't really get a chance to say hi to her, but I saw her there and I was like, okay, that's cool. Then walking around, I saw another Dungeons and Dragons YouTuber that I used to watch. I think it's Cody or Colby. I was messing up his name, but from the channel D4 Deep Dive. And he does really good like Dungeons and Dragons like specific character builds videos, and he'll go like break down the process of the characters and like the builds and like how much damage they do and stuff like that. And I've always really enjoyed his videos for like the different character and builds that he did, and so that was cool seeing him there. Unfortunately, he was like, when I spotted him, he was talking with some other people, and I didn't want to just like linger around or anything, kind of be a weirdo, so I just kept walking. But I was like, hey, it's cool, I watched your videos back then. And that's gonna be a kind of common theme, is whenever I spot people, they're always talking to other people. I know Monique and Naveen from before you play were there. I didn't see them. I follow them on Instagram, so I saw that they were there, but I didn't spot them at all. The other people I follow on Instagram that I knew were going to be there, and I also saw on YouTube, was Thinker Themer. I'm a big fan of their channel. I knew they were there, so I was like trying to keep an eye out. I was like, okay, there's some other people I'm trying to keep an eye out for, see if I could spot them, say hi at some point. But it was cool spotting those other like D&D YouTubers that I didn't even know were going to be there. But anyway, so that all happened on Thursday. And yeah, and then I think it was Thursday, I did spot Thinker Themer, but and like again, whenever I spotted them, they were already like pulled off to the side of like a little walkway talking with some other people. So I was like, I don't want to like linger and be weird, and I'm probably sure they wouldn't care, but I was like, it's a big convention, I'm sure I'll see them again and maybe I'll get to say hi. Which in hindsight, the fact that I had COVID, it's maybe a good thing I didn't go up and really talk to any of these people and risk giving them COVID. So I'm like, whatever. Then Thursday, I kind of bopped around to a bunch of different places, played a bunch of different games. I was really trying to go out of my way to do all of my buying on Thursday, so then I could just bring my games back with me, and then Friday and Saturday, I don't have to carry like a bunch of bags and games around with me, right? So I was like, I'm gonna get all my buying out of the way Thursday. So one of the games that was on my list was let's see, I'm gonna go through. So Pompero was on my list. I went by the booth. I didn't know how much it cost. It cost $120. Bit expensive. It does seem like, you know, it's a big game, big board, lots of production. I really like the art style, but that was one I passed on because I was like, that's kind of a lot, and I'm trying to, you know, not go crazy on the spending for this con. It's one I might pick up at some point because the game looks cool, and like I really like the idea of like the whole energy and like the boards and like everything I've seen about it looks cool, but the $120 put me off a little bit from it. One of the other games was Star Tycoon. This was a kind of like a space economic game. And so they actually had a demo going on of this. And when I walked over, they were just about to start another one. So I got to sit down and demo with a group of people. And I was really impressed by Star Tycoon. It was, you know, it was a demo. So I was like, didn't get to play too much, just a couple turns, but got a feel for the game. And I was like, this is really cool. I like the art style. There's like a central board for the resources that change, you know, when you sell or buy stuff, like the value of it changes. You know, it's like an economic game. It's a bit of a stock market. So I was like, that's really cool. I'm gonna have to come back and pick that up later. I saw they had like a bunch of boxes, so I was like, I don't know if I need to grab it right now, because I'm sure if I come back at the end of the day, it'll be there. Like, surely it'll be there at the end of the day. So I was like, I'll come back. One of the other games, I like I said, I passed up on a few. Witchcraft I passed on. I just didn't want to grab too many games, and I was like, I feel like that's a game that won't be hard to get if I wanted to get it outside of GenCon. So I was like, I'll come back to that. Cascadia Rolling Rivers. Cascadia Rolling Right. Now, I have played Cascadia on the channel. I'm not a huge fan of the game, if I'm being honest. I'm not a huge fan of nature themes. I'm okay on them. Abstract games, I'm okay. I'm not a huge fan of abstract games. So Cascadia, I thought it was okay. I wasn't blown away by it, but I was like, Roll and Rights, I like. So let me go see and do a little bit of a demo to see what's going on with the new Cascadia Roll and Write game, shall I? And I went over to the booth, and they were doing little demos. It was a very brief demo, like less than 5 minutes, but gave me a like overview of like how it plays, the players, like what you're doing, like the goal cards, how you get points and all that. And I was like, okay. And then I left that demo. I was like, wow, this that game looked really boring to me. I'm sorry. I might start some drama here. But I was really unimpressed with it. Like, I don't know what I was expecting, and maybe I need to actually play it more, but the demo, I was like, this is not for me. Like, I'm not saying it's, you know, a bad made game, but I was like, I just have played so many roll and rights that I guess, I don't know, I want to see something cool and interesting, and it was just seemed very much more of the same. Like, you roll some stuff, you get a card, maybe you can draw something on your map. Like, I don't know, maybe because I'm already not a fan of Cascadia, I was kind of unimpressed with it, but I was like, man, that kind of was underwhelming. And needless to say, I didn't pick up any of the Cascadia Roll and Write games. So that was a pass for me. Going around trying to see what other games I wanted to demo and buy. And one of the games on my list was Compile, which is a 2-player dueling game where you play as sentient like AIs right after the, was it Singularity or whatever? You're trying to like compile these different regions. I was like, okay, computer themes. I'm a bit of a computer guy. I'll at least check it out. 2-player head-to-head games. I have so many of those these days. I feel like I've like, you know, Keyforge, and I got, you know, Pocket Paragons. So like, I don't know. Do I really need more dueling games? Like, it's got to be something. It's kind of my feeling with Roll and Rights. It's like, it's got to be something pretty interesting and different for me to like want to get it, right? So I see that they actually have a number of tables set up with it set up. So I was like, okay, I'll wait around for a demo. Cascade also just doesn't look nice. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's part of it's kind of an abstract game. Hello there, Oblique. Is this the one that had 2 versions a la Pokemon? Yes. So the Cascadia had the Rolling Hills and the Rolling Rivers, which basically the same game, but one of the main aspects that the player has is like a little map, and they have different map packs. So like the Rolling Hills ones has different maps than the Rolling Rivers, but I think primarily that's like a Pokemon situation where they're like 90% the same. They just have slight differences. But then I went over to the booth for Compile, which is made by, I think, Greater Than Games. I forget exactly who made it. And waited for a table to open up and got a demo of the game where I sat down and actually played pretty much a full game. Learning the rules, kind of figuring out what it's all about. And immediately after playing the demo, I beelined it to the booth and bought the game, the playmat, and the expansion because the demo was so fun. This game is so fun. Compile, I was blown away by. Like I said, I feel like it had to do. I've played so many 2-player head-to-head games. I got Keyforge, I got all of this, and that. Like, it's got to do something interesting, and I was personally blown away by it. I thought it was really cool. Essentially, there's kind of a lot to explain. Maybe I'll explain it more later because I'll kind of go maybe in depth with some of the stuff I got. But let's just say I picked up the game, the playmat, the expansion. I was blown away by it. I've never done that where the second I got done with the demo, I was like, I have to get this game. Like, I also saw that they didn't have a crazy amount on the shelf, so I was like, I don't want it to possibly go out. So okay, that was all that. And I think that was pretty much, that's all of my games on my top 10. Yeah, side quest I got, Pampero I passed on, Star Tycoon. I did go back and pick up Star Tycoon, and it came with a cool promo pack. I did buy that, so that's over here. Compile I bought, Witchcraft I passed on, Cascadia I passed on, Search for UAPs got it, Gentle Rain got it, Arcs I passed on. The Gang. So the Gang is the only one on my day one that I didn't pass on that I just couldn't get. So I was like, okay, got a couple more days. I'll get it. So Friday comes around and I'm ready. So I planned out, and I was smart. I was like, okay, you know, I know the layout of the exhibit hall. I know where the Cosmos booth is. If you're familiar with GenCon, the Cosmos booth is kind of right at this little dividing area that separates two halls, where there's like the playing hall where they have a lot of card game stuff in, meaning like, you know, Magic the Gathering, a lot of other stuff. And then there's the exhibit hall. And there's a place where they meet, and the Cosmos booth is right there. So I was smart, and I was like, okay, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wait right in this little gap, this opening. And there's like they put like a wall, like a kind of like a wall barrier up. And then like when the hall opens at 10, I'm like right there. I'm like a couple booths away and I could just walk in. So I'm waiting with my phone, looking at the time, 10 o'clock hits, and I'm like, and there's some other people waiting around. We're like, the wall's not like moving aside. Like, what's going on? Like maybe they're starting a few minutes late, and then it hits like 10:03, 10:04, and I'm like, what's going on? I see other people start leaving, and it's like, oh. And then at some point I heard somebody say the wall doesn't open until like 10:30. I'm like, I didn't know that. I'm trying to get an early spot right next to the booth at this one area that's not like one of the main doors, and apparently that area doesn't open for a half hour after the main exhibit hall opens. I run around, and like the nearest entrance I have to kind of go like all the way around to get to. I go through it, I beeline it to the Cosmos booth to try to get the Gang, and they're already sold out. Well, it wasn't, they weren't technically already sold out, but they only had, I think, 100 copies, and at least props to them, they had a line and were keeping track of how many people are in line. And so they just, once they had 100 people in line, they just cut off the line and said, no more people, we don't have any more copies. So at least props to them for like not making people wait and then not get the game. Like that would suck. But I was like, dang, day two struck out. But they were supposed to have more Saturdays, so I was like, I'll come back and try to get more Saturday. Friday, so I guess also I did do a couple of events. Thursday, I did a Keyforge event, where it was basically a sealed play, tournament, not really tournament. It was very, very casual, but very fun. And it was so casual, I was surprised that they gave you a couple decks to choose from, and the guy even said that was running, he's like, if you want, you can alliance the decks, which for those that aren't familiar with Keyforge, alliance is kind of a new thing where you could take a house from one deck and combine it with a house from a different deck and kind of mix and match decks, but only partially. So like, oh, we don't normally, you like would want sleeves for that, but it was so casual. He's like, it doesn't matter. So I allianced a deck. Let me see if I can find it actually. Hold on. Yeah, so I guess I can kind of show this off and talk about it. My deck was, this was not the deck. Hold on. I got a lot of decks. A lot of them. I think it's one of these. Hold on. They gave you like 3 or 4 decks to choose from, which is really nice. And then you could kind of, okay, this is my deck. So it was a mix of Shadows. It was a mix of Brobnar, and it was a mix of Dis. Which, this is a Call of the Archon style Keyforge deck. But yeah, I like Dis. Brobnar could be really hit or miss, but it has, I guess, I forgot my top camera isn't on. It's got some fun cards in it though. And yeah, so I participated in that, and that was, I played 2 games. And I won 2 games, which was kind of cool. So I got some cool swag from that. And that was all well and good. And so that was my main event Thursday. I had also another event I was signed up for Thursday, which was to learn to play Bonanza, because this is a game I have on my shelf. I really want to play at some point, but I've never actually played it. So I was like, hey, that would be a cool time to just go and do like a learn to play with some people, try out the game. But that was at like 2 o'clock. My Keyforge thing was at noon. The Keyforge thing went to 1:30-ish. And then the thing that I didn't realize was I didn't sign up for my events early enough. Some events have electronic tickets, which my Keyforge did. Some have physical tickets, which my Bonanza one did. And unfortunately, I didn't know that you have to pick up the physical tickets from the will call line. If you're not familiar with GenCon, the will call line is long. It is long because that's the main place people pick up their badges as well. And so I looked at the line and I'm like, well, I guess I'm not going to my Bonanza event because I am not waiting in that line. And I don't think even if I did, I would make it to the event in time. So I was like, I'll pass. Thursday, I went to, there's like a block party area. And I'm trying to think, where did I get food Thursday? I'm actually blanking now. I don't even remember where I got food Thursday. Because I got food there was like a block party with a bunch of food trucks. See, this is what I should have done the stream earlier. I'm gonna start forgetting stuff. I actually don't remember where I went Thursday now that I'm trying to think back on it. Whatever. But then on Friday, I went to Island Noodles because that was one of the hyped up food trucks at GenCon. It's just a noodle place that basically has 2 things. You can either get a cup of noodles or a couple of noodles with chicken. That's it. You got 2 options. They give you a good sized portion though. It was my first time trying it. It was really, really good. I really liked it. I had the one with chicken in it. It was phenomenal. Like I said, good sized portion. So it was a little bit expensive, like $12-13 for a couple noodles, but it was really good. And then I think, so Friday, I think it was Friday. No, I think it's Friday. So I'm getting my days mixed up again. I think it was Friday. I had my second Keyforge event, which was the same thing. Alliance. This time they didn't do Alliance, but it was a sealed event where you just grab it, get some decks, choose which one you want. And this time, so last time it was a pretty small event. I was played against a couple people, but this time when I sat down, also not a huge event, a couple people. Person across from me is a kid. A kid that I would say is like definitely less than 10 years old, like 7, 8, 9 years old, like a young kid. And they were playing in this event. And if you've played like board games or video games or whatever, if you see like a young kid at an event, that's usually a bad sign. That means you're about to you're gonna get the floor wiped with you because they're just gonna be so good at the game. So I was like kind of nervous. I was like, dang, okay, I hope this kid isn't like too cracked. And as I'm looking over my decks, like I see the kid has his phone out and he's like entering the decks into decks of Keyforge, checking out the SAS value, checking out all this and that. I'm like, oh god, I'm so screwed. I'm about to get beat at Keyforge by like a 7-year-old or whatever. This time, the second game or the second tournament, they didn't allow you to alliance decks. So I just had to choose one deck, play it as is. So I played this Azurius Mountain Shines Cyan Dreamer deck. The main reason I chose this was because it had a Havoc card, Mythic card. I don't know. It's the thing where a card can appear out of its house into a different house, and it has this 3 Fates card, which is normally a discard, but it appears as a Mars card, which is kind of fun. But yeah, this has Untamed, Mars, and Logos in it. So this was my deck for my second Keyforge event. This time it was gonna be 3 games instead of 2. And first up was against this kid that I was like, oh boy, this kid's gonna be kind of cracked. And he was really, really good. It was a tough matchup. I'm gonna be honest though, my deck was pretty good and I kind of won on not a technicality, but one of the cards I had is a little card called Library Access. And if you're not familiar with Keyforge, this is a card I had heard about before. I'll just read you the description. It says, for the remainder of the turn, has a play effect. For the remainder of the turn, each time you play another card, you draw a card. It's kind of busted. And it's so busted that, little unknowns to me, this has an official errata, but that's not like on the card itself, that is supposed to purge itself after. I didn't know this. The kid knew this, but he didn't tell me this until after instead of purging it, I discarded it, I got it again, and then I played it again. And it wasn't until after I resolved it a second time that he was like, wait, shouldn't that purge? And I'm like, it doesn't say. He's like, I think there's an errata. And I'm like, no way, this kid's trying to like actually me about this card. But I'd also heard about the card, so I was like, I know it's a powerful card, but that would make sense. And neither of us decided to look it up during the game. We're just like, we'll just play it forward. And then unfortunately the kid made some misplays and I barely won, but I won my first match. So I was like, let's go. Second match was pretty close, but this deck was pretty good and I was playing pretty good, so I won the second match. And then the third match was pretty, I actually think the second match the guy like conceded towards the end, because I just like it was just so one-sided. But then the last match was pretty close, and I actually think it came down to like a tiebreaker of like the amount of amber we had, and I had just like 2 more amber than them, so I won my third match. So I went undefeated in Keyforge this last weekend, so not trying to brag. So you know, there was some drama. People were throwing accusations that I was cheating, and I guess technically like I didn't know about the errata for library access, but that wasn't on me. I learned, I now know, but I was like, it's called the Archons card. Like I don't, you know, that set came out before I started playing. I got into the game of like Dark Tidings era, so like I don't know about that. It's not on the card. How am I supposed to know? But literally, like, this kid knew, but he didn't say it till it was like a little too late. And yeah, so like props to him. Like kid knew his Keyforge, and he almost wiped me if I didn't, you know, accidentally play that a second time, and then he misplayed a few times. Like he had a good deck. He had some like untamed stuff. Untamed stuff could be scary. So that was that. Those are the main events I did. I was signed up for another event on Sunday for Keyforge again, where I was supposed to, they were presenting the new Keyforge game mode, which is called Vault Assault, which is the new official Keyforge game mode where you could play with, I think, 3 to 5 or 3 to 6 players, where it's a multiplayer format, which is really cool. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. I picked up the cards for it to play it, but they were doing an event Sunday, which I didn't end up going because, like I said, by the time Sunday rolled around, I was pretty tired because I'd been there a couple of days, so I was starting to feel a little bit sick, so I decided to pass on that. What else? So that's kind of the broad overview. I could probably sprinkle in some other stuff. Trying to think what other food trucks I went to. So I went to Island Noodles the one day. The other day I went to Hot Box Pizza. I didn't get the crazy, so for Gen Con they do like a crazy specialty pizza called, like, this year's, I think it was called Critical Chip, that had a lot of weird stuff on it. It was like it was like a nacho pizza. It had like beans and jalapenos, like crushed Doritos, a couple other things. I think someone at the Dice Tower called it like a dorm room floor pizza, because it looks like he just took a pizza, wiped it on a dorm room floor, and that's what it looked. Not appealing. So I just got pepperoni and their little breadsticks. It was really good. Got ice cream after. That was a little bit of a disaster. It was good ice cream, but they gave it to me in a waffle cone, and it was hot out, so it immediately started melting. And they gave me a bowl too, but I was committed to the cone. But the ice cream was melting faster than I could eat it. So like by the time I was done, like my hand was just covered in ice cream. I probably looked like an idiot, but I was like, I was in the mindset that I was like, once I got a little ice cream on my hand, I was like, I don't, you know, I'm gonna have to wash my hand anyway, so like, just get the whole thing covered. So I probably looked like an idiot outside just eating my ice cream, just melting everywhere, but it was really good ice cream. It was hot out. Oh, that's right. So I now remember what happened. So I was gonna say, you'll get pretty good weather most of the weekend. Obviously Gen Con is mostly indoors, so weather is not a huge factor. But Thursday, I think I like, skipped lunch. Oh, because I got breakfast on the way there, so I was like, I'm gonna skip lunch and then get a food truck for dinner on Thursday. But what happened was, I was going out to the food truck area, which is like between the convention hall and the football stadium, and they were closing down the block party because of lightning, which understandable, you know, you got to look out for people's safety. But I was bummed because I was like, oh, I'm gonna get some food trucks for dinner, and then I couldn't because the lightning ruined it all. So that was pretty much that. I'm trying to think if there's any others. So when we go over some of the games, I already went over all the games that I want to buy. Let me quickly talk about games I wanted to try. So I'm gonna be honest, I didn't do as good of a job at tracking down these specific games. I mean, Gen Con, there's just so much going on, and I had such a good time just spending time in the vendor hall. That's why I kind of forgot to take pictures and videos, and I also forgot to like look at my list of games to try. And like, if I saw one, I would remember like, oh yeah, that game's on my list, I'll try that. But I did a bad job at like going out of my way to try these games, right? I kind of more just, if I saw them, I would try them. So a lot of these I didn't try. I actually think most of these, I'm looking at the list, I don't think I tried a single game on my games to try list. So Gloomhaven 2nd edition, I didn't see like a demo of that. I went by the Gloomhaven booth, and actually I picked up a little bit of something at the Gloomhaven booth. Didn't get to try that. Alte Dawn of Civilization, I didn't see that there. Same with the Party Panda Pirates, I didn't see that there. Innovation Ultimate I did see, but I didn't demo. Don't Starve, that was like a ticketed demo, but I saw that they had it at the booth. Ironwood, I didn't get to play, but at one point that was set up at the Dice Tower booth, so I got to watch a little bit of them play that. Wandering Galaxy was set up for demo. I just didn't get a chance to. I forgot to. March of the Ants, I did see set up. I didn't get a demo. Power Vacuum, I didn't see there. And then my number one game to try again this year was Dead Cells, and who would have guessed it wasn't there again? I was disappointed, to say the least, but I didn't get my hopes up too much because I'd been burnt before last year when Scorpion Mask was like, oh, we're gonna have Dead Cells there to demo, and then I go there and they got nothing. So I was hesitant this year, but I was ready to be disappointed again, and disappointed I was when I went there and I was like, where's Dead Cells? And they're like, we don't have it. And then that's where the drama started. I just started flipping tables. I was like, you guys suck. And I got kicked out of the con. That's how it ended, with me just destroying the booth because there's no Dead Cells. Dragged me out of the con. It was awful. It was awful. Yeah, made a huge scene. I'm never gonna be able to go back to Gen Con. It sucks. I don't want to go back anyway. They don't have any of the good games there for demoing. So yeah, that was a bit of a recap. I might miss some things here and there, but that's all I pretty much did and saw. That kind of gives a recap of my games, so I can real quick switch to my overhead camera and talk about some of the stuff I got, because there's a lot of other stuff I haven't talked about yet, and we can kind of go a little bit more in detail of some of the stuff I have gotten. Boom. All right, there we go. Dead Cells isn't out yet. No, as far as I'm aware, it's not. I mean, it is a video game that exists, and that's what the board game is based on. So that exists, and personally, I've never actually played it. So it's kind of weird that this has been like my most anticipated game, but I really like Scorpion Mask as a company. I mean, they made Turing Machine, they make Sky Team. I really like their games, and this sounds cool. Like I think it's a roguelike type game. It looks fighting. I like the art style. It's like, I've never even played the video game, but I'm very excited to at least try this. And 2 years in a row, I wanted to try it and I just couldn't. So a little bit disappointing. Okay, well, we kind of dive into some of these games. So Star Tycoon, I really like this game. It is very, very cool. So it all kind of hinges on this galactic market board, which is the thing that stuck out to me, and is probably my favorite aspect of it, where you have these kind of 5 main resources in the game. I just realized you can't really see that. You have these 5 main resources in the game, and they all have these little round pegs that you put in the board. And everything starts out for 1 energy. You can buy 1 resource, but then throughout the game, as you buy stuff, it becomes more expensive, and as you sell stuff, it becomes less expensive. And then this could be, it varies throughout the game. It ebbs and flows, which I think is really cool. So you just have all these different resources that kind of change prices throughout the game. The gameplay itself is very fun. It's a bit of a longer game. It's a victory point type game. So you'll have like random goals each time. You have There's a lot of randomness, which I like in the startup. A lot of variability. So you have like starting home worlds that give you like a certain resource that you want to be producing the most of. You have like an Omniforge, which just gives you some starting resources. You have a company, which will give you some unique ability and some specific goal. Also dictates like your starting resources. There's a cool event deck. So this game takes place over kind of 4 rounds, and at the beginning of rounds 2, 3, and 4, you have an event card, and some of these are really, really cool. This event deck might be my favorite thing about the game, and honestly, I've purposely not looked through a lot of the event cards because I kind of want to be surprised by some of them. I think some of them are just so fun and change the game so much. Some will let you like wildly change the market. Some of them will let you pick a new company. Some of them will add a new end game goal. Like, it's very, very cool. But also, I've been playing this game a lot this last week. And this is the first time I think in any board game I know this is a thing some people do. This is the first game I've taken a card out of the game because I disliked it so much. I don't think I've ever played a game where a single card sticks out so much that I dislike that I have to remove it from the game. But I was just hyping up the event deck, and the event deck is awesome. When I got the game, I also got this promo booster pack, which comes with a couple of extra companies, couple extra developments you can build planets, and a couple of extra events. One of them I greatly dislike because it is very boring. I was just talking about some of the events are so cool. They're so interesting. And this event just sucks. It's so boring. And I have played this game a lot this last week. And every time it came up, I was just, for some reason, there's a pretty thick stack of events. Every time I kept getting this event, and I was like, every time I was just disappointed. And so I'd removed it from the game. I don't know if that'll stay a permanent thing, but it's the first time I've had to remove a card from the game because it's boring. I can show you what it does. It's essentially, it's called the gamble. And it's a neat idea where every player gains an energy, and then what happens is you basically flip a coin. And you could choose to participate in this gamble. And if the coin lands heads, you get an extra energy. If it lands tails, you'll lose that energy you just gained. So you basically gain a guaranteed energy, and then you could gamble to double it or lose it. Which sounds interesting, and maybe playing as a group, it might be more fun, but in solo, it's just, you gain 1, maybe 2 energy. That's the card. And I think it's so lacking compared to some of the other cards that change the state of the game so much that this just feels like such a dud of a card that I've had to take it out because I just got, the event part is what I look forward to, and I've got disappointed when I pulled that card. So yeah, I will be talking more about this game tomorrow because this game will be on my solo gaming Sunday stream for tomorrow. So I won't talk too much about it now. It has a super fun solo mode. I really was a little worried. I was like, how are you going to do an economic game with a solo mode? Like, how does that work with the market? It is very fun. In solo mode, you pretty much have like specific challenges based on the Omniforge you get. And it's a lot of fun. So, I'm not gonna talk too much about this game because it'll be back tomorrow for Solo Gaming Sunday. So that was the first one I got. Side quest, I'm not gonna really open the box and go through it because I don't want to spoil myself on it. And I think yeah, there's not much here. I did get a bit of a promo pack that has like an extra scenario. This game has no rule book. This is like the answer matrix. I don't want to start opening it too much because I'm just gonna do that when I play it, but I do got that. Gentle Rain, I have already played a good amount this last week. It is a very chill and simple game. I like the wooden pieces. It's got solid components. I like the small box. I'm not overly crazy about it so far, but I'm definitely going to play it more. The basics of the game is you have these, you're trying to build finish a pond and complete some flowers. So you start with a pond piece, and then you try to connect other pond pieces like that where the flowers match, and you're trying to essentially get a place where you have like a 4 square of flowers that all match. Like these don't match up, but if they did, then you could place a flower here and like a token there, and then that's pretty chill. That's just how the game works. It's simple, it's chill, it's cozy. But yeah, so I'll maybe do like a video on this at some point. I don't know if I'll do like a whole stream, but Gentle Rain, finally got it. Search for UAPs, the search for unidentified anomalous phenomenon. This is kind of a spiritual secret to the search for games. As you see, I have Search for Planet X up here. There's also Search for Lost Species that came out, I believe, last year. And now there is Search for UAPs, which is This is made by Renegade and Bezier. This was made by Renegade and Foxtrot. And this is also a different game designer, Ted Alspash? I'm really bad at pronouncing names. Sorry, Ted. It's essentially it's the same concept in a similar game, but there are some pretty big differences. Like one thing is that I personally really like is it's a magnetic board. So because it has to spin and they use magnets for it, which I think is a really clever thing to do. And yeah, it has like these little player boards that are also magnetic and dry erase, which is really fun. I really like the components. I've been playing this last week, trying to learn it a bit. And I really enjoy it. There are these little extra tiles that you add to different regions that add little modifiers, I guess you could call them, variables that either will change the game in some way, whether they might help you, they might make your life more difficult. And what's kind of cool is there's a bit of a like a positioning aspect to this game where you have like a player piece that you put in one of these 4 quadrants, and then you can kind of only survey and take pictures in this quadrant. If you want to do stuff in the southeast, you got to move your player. So there's kind of a bit of a movement aspect to this game, but besides that, it's like 90% of a same game where you're using logic to figure out like, okay, there's no meteor in sector 8, and that the meteors are always stacked, so they can't be in sector 16. And if there's a meteor in 8, that means there's no nav satellite in 8, and nav satellites are always adjacent from each other, so okay, then you can't have a nav satellite in 4, and you just kind of you do that whole thing. I've only started playing this the last few days, but it is really quite fun. I might do this next solo gaming Sunday, so like a week from tomorrow. I'm still pretty new at playing it. I haven't played it too much to give like a great opinion on it, but like early impressions, I would say I like this better than Planet X. The Search for Planet X, for a couple of reasons. I mean, I think the components are more solid. I like the little player board that rotates better. I think the app is better. And personally, I like that there's more variability, especially with these modifiers that change the game. And that's one thing, if you've been following the channel for a while, a solo game for me, one of the things that really sticks out is how much you can change the game for like setup wise and how much you can change it for like difficulty wise. And this has both of that, where you can change. There's the expert side. If you want a more difficult game, you can change. These are changing every game. Obviously, the stuff that gets generated changes every game. There's also the number of hints you get at the start for like a difficulty scaling. So I really like that this game has both of those and does them so well. And I just think so far, everything I've seen in this that's changed from Planet X, I think I like better in this version. So that's still pretty initial impressions. I've only played this for like 2 days, but so far I do like it a lot, and maybe better than Planet X. So that's Search for UAPs. Probably coming to the channel like a week from tomorrow or something. I might do it like my next solo gaming Sunday or sometime soon. Next up is Compile. Compile. Like I said, this is a game that as soon as I demoed it, I went and bought it, and the expansion and the playmat, because I am a sucker for playmats. I have fully admitted that before, and I will fully admit it again. That's like the one board gaming thing that I'm really just a sucker for, is a nice playmat. And especially like, Star Tycoon had a playmat, but playmats almost a little bit picky on, because they have to like, I don't know, help the game. Like I like them when they look pretty, but if they're just telling me where to play stuff, I don't really like that. But at least in this, the positioning is a little bit nice, and I like that it does have like the stuff you can do on your turn here. But Compile is really cool in the fact that you have these, I think they call them suits of cards of different types. Well, they're like different suits. And you start the game by drafting 3 suits to make up a pile. So you have stuff like Psychic, Speed, Water, and they all play differently. So like Psychic allows you to like manipulate cards and, know your foe's mind. You get to maybe look at your opponent's cards, while Speed lets you maybe, do more stuff like play a card, draw a card type thing. Water lets you do stuff, and all the cards are unique, which is fun. So you have like that. So you'll just choose. There's a lot of suits. Like there's a lot of them. You got Metal and Plague and Death and Darkness and Spirit and Life. And the expansion adds Apathy, Hate, and Love are the 3 suits that the expansion adds. But you and your opponent go back and forth picking 3 suits. You combine them. You put the compiled areas up here that you're trying to compile. You combine the rest of the cards, and you have a unique deck of cards. And the gameplay is pretty simple. On your turn, you pretty much are just playing a card to one of these areas. So you play water cards to the water area and psychic cards to the psychic area. And cards also have a backside where if you just want to place them as a generic 2, you can place them anywhere. Because the main thing you're trying to do is compile each area, which you do by having 10 or more value in this line. And you have to have more than your opponent. So your opponent could try to stop you that if I'm about to compile in my speed column and I have 9 and I'm about to get to 11 next turn, my opponent could have put a card there to make them at 12. So even if I get to 11, even though I'm above 10, I have to get above my component to then fully compile. You compile all 3 of your areas to win. But the cards are really, really cool because they're all unique and they all have a couple of things going on them. And let me see if I can maybe even zoom in a little bit here. Okay, that works. So cards have kind of 3 different areas. They have, well, technically 4. They have the number at the top, which is the value they represent. Then they have the middle part, which is some ability that goes off when you play them. Then they have a top and bottom ability that are kind of active abilities. And then what's cool is you play cards. Let me see if I can find a good example of this. But like the psychic card, your opponent can only play cards face down. This at the start of the turn, you have to flip a card. But if I somehow had a way to cover this, because you stack cards like this, then now this card makes my opponent can only play face down cards, and you've covered this bottom ability so it doesn't activate anymore. So like as you start playing cards, if you have the psychic card that has a bad end of turn ability, if you could somehow cover that up with another card, then it doesn't activate. But then if your opponent removes this, and that comes back into play. So the abilities are really fun. The abilities are really interesting. They're really well balanced that the higher the number of the card is, the worse the ability is, because it balances out that way. So like a psychic card makes me discard one of my own cards because it's such a high number. While a psychic 0, since it doesn't provide any value, has a really good ability that allows me to draw 2 cards and my opponent discards 2 cards. There's a lot more to the game, but that's kind of in a brief summary what Compile is. And like I said, I was blown away by the demo. And I played this a good amount at the con as well, and I really enjoy it. It is very, very fun. Like I said, I like the computer theme. I'm a bit of a sucker for that as well. I mean, I like that it's such a small box. Like this is the game and the expansion fits in this little box. It's got the cool foil box, and it looks cool, and the cards are cool foil. So like, I was sold on this game right after I demoed it. So. And it was pretty cheap. I think the game was only $20. The expansion was $5. So I was like, I'll pick it up. And I've been pleasantly surprised with it since. So I did a quick search. And yeah, about a year ago, there was must be around Dead Cells. Probably just to spearhead their Kickstarter campaign. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I think as far as I know, I looked at the GenCon site and it said, games to demo. It was listed there. I wasn't just making this up, but yeah, Compile looks like a good game, especially that playmat. I like the playmat. Yeah, I'm a sucker for playmat, but I think it's such a fun game. As for a 2-player dueling game, it's solid. Let me go over some other fun stuff I got. So I went by the Dice Tower booth, like I said. I had to pick up a couple things, and check this out. I got some board game socks, or specifically Dice Tower socks, which I've probably talked about on the channel. I'm a big fan of fun socks. I like wearing fun and kind of goofy socks. Right now, I'm not really good. I don't know if I can really show it, but I have Avatar: The Last Airbender socks on with Sakura. No, I forget who that is, but that's Sakura. Is that a Naruto character? I was gonna say Sasuke. That's a Naruto character. But yeah, so I like fun socks. So I saw the Dice Tower. I remember they had posted something, I think on their YouTube channel a while back, a poll, would you buy Dice Tower socks? I was like, yes, give me that. So they had 2 styles, and I picked up 2 different pairs of Dice Tower socks, which I'm pretty pumped about. Big win. So for Compile, you need to win on all 3 columns. Yeah, you have to win on all 3 columns to fully win the game. Yes. But there's a couple of things, also when you compile, you wipe out the whole row of your and your opponent's cards, and you can sometimes switch your they call them protocols, or what the things you have to compile at the top. So you have to switch, you can switch those around. So if you're about to compile in one area, you could switch your opponent's stuff. It's really fun. And it plays pretty quick. Once you learn the game, it's probably a 15-20 minute game, maybe. I mean, it can go on, longer or shorter depending on the game, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. Unfortunately, there's no solo mode, so I don't know if I'll ever play it on the channel. We'll see. Maybe I'll have to try to figure out some way to do some IRL 2-player game, but Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. Some other stuff I picked up before. So I got this big old bag when I picked up Search for UAPs. That was hauling all my games on Thursday. And I went to Hotbox Pizza, like I said. And when I got my breadsticks, they gave you this cool little plastic GenCon Hotbox Pizza cup, which I was actually kind of pumped about. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I just wanted breadsticks, but I'll take a free cup with it. I picked up a couple pins. Pins are a big thing at the con. I'm not a huge pin guy personally, but some of these just came with the games I got. So I got a glass cannon pin from the glass cannon booth, which I didn't get anything from there, but I went to ask about what's the game? Don't Starve and Apex Legends. I was like, hey, can I play Apex Legends? Like, I'm still waiting on the game. They're like, you can have a pin. I was like, okay, I'll take a pin. I got one for the Search for UAPs. Pretty cool, pretty shiny. And then I also got one for Compile, which these all just kind of came with the game or came with doing a demo. So pretty neat, pretty neat. So there, I mentioned this earlier. I stopped by the Gloomhaven booth, and the main thing I did there was picked up a little scenario for Buttons and Bugs, the Gen Con specific scenario, which I was worried about. I didn't get it for the first day because it said you have to purchase the game, and I went back, I think it was like Friday or Saturday. I was like, hey, I have Buttons and Bugs. Can I just have the scenario? And they're like, yeah, here you go. I was like, cool. And they tried to give me the, like, do you want the Origins one too? I'm like, no, I already got that one, but I want the Gen Con one. So I got the Narrow Escape Scenario 2.5 for Buttons and Bugs, which, yeah, I've said that I really enjoy Buttons and Bugs. I think it's the first Gloomhaven that's really stuck. I did a live stream a couple weeks ago on it, and I like that week after I played it a bunch, where I got to like scenario like 11 or 12. Like I got pretty far in the campaign because I was playing it so much. It's fun. So I was happy to pick up that. Every year I feel like I gotta stop by the ChessX booth and pick up some new dice. I don't have to, but I like ChessX dice, and I think it's just like a fun thing to get each year. So I got these, maybe a little bit hard to see, especially against the backdrop, but they're like these speckled black and blue dice that I quite like. So yeah, I picked up a new set of dice. I'll have to kick out one of my old sets from my little dice tray that I have, but pick some of those up. I was gonna pick up also another deck of cards, but I was kind of unimpressed with the selection they had at the bicycle booth. That's normally what I get my deck of cards from, so I just passed on that. So one exciting thing is the company Universe does fighting card games. Last year, I believe they had a big setup for My Hero Academia. I think they had like a card game for that, I believe is what it was. So I guess they're always doing anime card games. But this year, they're doing demos, and the booth was set around an Attack on Titan card game, which I was like, man, I gotta demo this. So I waited around, got a table, got an explanation, and demoed the Attack on Titan card game, which they actually gave me. They gave these to everybody that demos them. They gave me it's like the starter decks that we played with, which are very basic. And let me see if I can get one open to kind of show you some of the cards. I quickly learned, man, I suck at these types of games. They're like, have you played fighting games much? And I'm like, nope. And they're like, have you played a Universes game before? I'm like, nope. And they're like, okay. It's like, I've played like Keyforge and Hearthstone. Does that count? And they're like, sure. I was like, man, I'm gonna start throwing hands if they're gonna insult me like that. But because this whole game has like, it has some kind of complex, at least to me, complex like stuff going on with like the blocking and all this other stuff. So there we go. Okay, so yeah, I got these cool decks that were essentially the demo decks that I played with, which one you got to play as Mikasa. The other we got to play as Aaron, and it's really cool because all the cards reference these minor spoilers, but like stuff from pretty much like the first like 5 episodes of the show, with like the Aaron and Mikasa, like the whole getting kidnapped and the doctor visit, which is kind of cool. The cards are really thematic. I really like, I mean, I've talked about like Attack on Titan is my favorite show like ever. Like it's one of the best shows. It's the best show I've ever seen, and I'm just such a fan. So I was like, I have to go play this, and it was fun to play. The cards are really cool. Pardon the intrusion. The doctor visits. You live with us now. Slay the wolves. Like determined strike, fatal stab. Oh man, it's so cool. And then you have like character abilities. The games I thought was kind of confusing, where you have to like, I think you kind of need to play them out where you're like playing different cards and then checking, playing different cards, checking. And it's kind of the equivalent of like playing lands, and then you use these cards later to like boost your other cards. And then some cards have like, when you attack, they have like, you're either attacking mid, high, or low, and then they have like a damage, and they have a check number. And I was like, I maybe people that have played these types of games, this is easy, but I felt really lost. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I had a good time, and I got the 2 like demo decks out of it, which was kind of the main reason I wanted to play it. Yeah, they just gave these to me. Played Big Gloomhaven with my friends for the first time last night. It took 5 hours to do the first scenario. We lost all but 1 player, won on the last possible turn. Epic and fun. That's awesome. Gloomhaven, I need to try the digital version again, because Buttons and Bugs has really made me appreciate Gloomhaven. So now I kind of want to try some of the other versions again, but it's a puzzle. It's a puzzle. Yeah, this other deck is pretty similar. It's just the Aaron deck. But what was also cool is they had some promos that you could get with the Attack on Titan game that you had to do certain things for. And I was like, you know what? I'll do everything you want me to do. So I had to like follow them on Instagram. I had to post on Instagram and tag them. I had to fill out a survey. I was like, you know what? Normally I wouldn't do any of this stuff, but they had these cool holographic promos. Look at that. We got Hanji, John, Erwin, and Connie. Very, very cool. I love how they look. I'm such a fan of the show. I mean, Hanji's one of my favorite characters. Erwin's awesome. You know, Connie and Jean are all right, but I was like, I'll do whatever to get the promos. There was, I think, one other promo I didn't get that you had to spend, I think, $70 at the booth to get it, which I personally would have done if they had the Attack on Titan stuff there, but they didn't. And I was like, I'm not really super interested in any of these other sets you got going on, but you know, hit me up when you got more Attack on Titan. So I did get the cool 4 promos, which is very fun. Universe is one of the least intuitive I've encountered, TCGs you encountered. Only really wanted to play because it was because of Brant Sanderson stream. I don't know if I've never heard the name Brant Sanderson, but no, I've played a lot of card games. You know, I've played a bit of Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Hearthstone. I've played my fair share of card games. I think I agree. This is like one of the most confusing. I was like, oh man, I feel a little out of my element here. Also, they gave me 2 booster packs for the Girl Power My Hero Academia, which I'll go ahead and open up. They gave them to me for free. Maybe they got some cool stuff in it. So let's do a quick pack opening, shall we? Which My Hero Academia, I've watched. I need to watch the newest season because I'm behind on it. I think it's over now. But yeah, so let's see what I get in this pack. Probably opening this terribly, and there's gonna be some cool cards. Hopefully there's no spoilers for this show. Maybe, I guess, potential spoilers if you're watching My Hero. I don't know what they're gonna show in these cards, so watch at your own risk. Full Cowl Shooting Style, pretty cool. Teacher's Guidance, I forget who they are. Leaping Tongue Lash, the Frog Girl, Will Steel, okay. Fungus Among Us reference. It's crazy. Size Reduction, okay. Ooh, like a holographic strategic meeting. Neat. Lady Nagant? Oh, okay, her. Yeah, very cool. Pressured by All for One. All right. Sadistic Jeer and Acid Man. All right, there's pack number 1. We got one more pack to go through. Let's just crack it open real fast. I guess, I mean, I'll keep the cards. I don't know. Maybe I like My Hero. Maybe I'll dip my toes into this at some point. At least I got some cards to start me out. I am struggling to open this without like damaging the cards because I'm just an idiot. All right, there we go. How are we doing on time? Oh wow, I'm already past an hour. I've been yapping for a bit. All right, one more pack. A Gift Returned. Eat My Sticky Balls. That's quite a card. All right. Exhausted Slumber. Confronting the MLA. Like the MLA format? That's kind of weird. I got something against writing papers. Unabashed Manner. Rabbit Cross Kick. Disrespectful Banter. Nice foil card. Momo Yayarozo. Classic Momo. Boot Basher. Sound Sensitivity. And Support Gear Upgrades. Cool. All right, well, those are the promo packs. A couple more things in my little bag, big bag over here. I don't know why I called it a little bag. I forget what booth gave this to me. It came with some game I got. Excuse me. It came with some game I got. I think it's like, they call it as like a, I don't even know what they call it, but it's like a little bag, a box strap where you like strap this around the box of your game so like the lid doesn't come off. It was free. I don't know. It just goes around. So like if you're carrying around in like a bag or something, the pieces don't go everywhere. It was free. I'll take it. Speaking of free, this was in a, they have like areas where you can get like the program books, and sometimes there's just like free stuff next to it. And there were these free decks of cards. I have zero idea what game this is for. Maybe there's a card that will tell me. Oh, it's Flesh and Blood. Okay. See, I didn't know. What is this? Is this like a simplified rules for beginners? So is this just like a beginner deck for Flesh and Blood? I've not messed with Flesh and Blood, but apparently I got some cards. I got the Ira Crimson Haze, and I don't know what any of this means. I never played the game, but hey, maybe, you know what? Maybe I dip my toes into Flesh and Blood at some point. And then the last thing in this bag. Oh, I got two more things. Oh. Actually, let me go grab a third thing, because while I'm talking about this other thing, it makes sense. Give me 1 second. Okay, my bad. How forgetful of me. Another free thing I picked up. Zoom out a little bit more, maybe. The Dungeon Crawl Classic Quick Start Guide. Which Dungeon Crawl Classic is an RPG I've heard about, and it's been on my list. I have a long list of RPGs I want to play. It is on there, is what I wanted to try, and I saw a free Quick Start Guide, and so of course I grabbed it. So I haven't read through this really, but looks pretty neat. They had a lot of stuff for this game there. They also had a lot of stuff for, I think it was like Mutant Crawl Classic, or was some, I guess, like sister game, or I don't know how it's related to Dungeon Crawl Classic, but yeah, I picked up the Quick Start guide, so maybe I'll have to try this out a little bit at some point, because I've heard good things. But once again, it's like I've heard things about a lot of RPGs. My list just keeps getting longer and longer. And speaking of more RPGs, I got more. Hello there, Sayana. Happy Saturday. Hope you had a great time at GenCon. I did have a great time at GenCon. Still going over some of the stuff I got. I did get COVID, but I'm mostly recovered by now. So that was no fun. But besides that, it was a good time. Is the playlist over? What's happened to my music? What's going on with the music? Oh, music ended. Oh no. I can't sit in silence. The voices will start. Okay, there we go. Let me take a quick sip of coffee. Still pretty warm, surprised. Okay, so I did pick up, obviously, a bunch of board games. I did pick up one, kind of two, RPGs besides the Dungeon Crawl Classic. And this RPG I've heard about because I've looked for these style RPGs, where I've sometimes looked for RPGs called, I've heard the term beer and pretzel RPG, where they're just supposed to be lightweight RPGs that are made for like one shots. Beer and pretzel kind of, you know, is made just hanging out, you know, having some drinks, something that you can make a one shot for real quick or on the fly, that are very lightweight, kind of goofy type games. And this game is one I've heard about when I looked up kind of beer and pretzel RPGs. I saw the game book there for, I guess, a new edition, and I had to pick up Kobolds Ate My Baby, a game by 9th Level Games, and it even says on it, classic beer and pretzels role-playing. And this is a very lightweight D6 based game, as you're playing as these little fuzzy kobold creatures that are pretty weird. They're dumb, they eat babies, they eat each other, they cook food, they have weird jobs, they serve their King Torg. All hail King Torg. It's got some really goofy rules. I read through it over this last week. You know, it's got the all hail rule because Yeah, the first and single most important rule every kobold learns, even before how to order pizza, is the all hail rule. Whenever anyone says the name of the great, mighty, wonderful king of kobolds, King Torg, all hail King Torg, everybody must loudly, boisterously, with their full chest shout, all hail King Torg, all hail King Torg. If anybody fails to express their proper respect for King Torg, all hail King Torg, they will immediately be given a kobold horrible death check. And that's one thing that's pretty cool about this game. Character sheets, it's simple to play. Character sheets are you don't even have stats. They're super simple. You have a name, you have a job, you have a flavor. That's what flavor of kobold you are. You have a few human words, you know. You have a left paw and a wrong paw for stuff to hold. You have treats for extra little goodies. And they got these skulls down here for death checks, which happens a lot in the game. Your kobold is gonna die probably. I think it even says in the book, if your kobold doesn't die when playing the game, you're playing the game wrong, or you're playing it, you know, not in the spirit of the game. Your character should be dying a lot. And this is a game, it even mentions it, but like your character can die during character creation, which is fun. I think it even mentions, I don't even know where it mentions that. Hold on, let me see if I can find it real fast. I guess it even mentions like, oh, there it is. Here it says, yes, it is possible to die during character creation. Take that, old school traveler. So it's a very goofy, lighthearted game. Like you could cast spells in this, but to cast spells, let's see if I can find the rule. You literally have to like, because kobolds can't cast spells, they don't have spell casting abilities, but if you found like a scroll that has a spell on it, you, the player, have to physically crumple up a piece of paper and throw it at whoever you're wanting to cast the spell at. That's how kobolds cast spells. They can't really cast it, so they just crumple up the spell and throw it. It's a very goofy game. There's like a concept of pushing rolls, kind of like in like Forbidden Lands or whatever. But if you want to push the roll, you have to, I think it's, you have to bark or growl like a kobold. And then I'll see if I can find the rule. Here it is. There's bark like a kobold. Whenever something goes wrong, kobolds can bark. To bark, the player, not the character, the player can bark, growl, or generally act like a kobold to pick up the dice and try again. And what's fun about that, though, is each time someone barks, it must be louder, better, and more kobold-like than the last time. So if you're playing a one-shot session, people keep failing. Every time someone tries to push their roll by barking like a kobold, the next person has to bark louder and dumber. So it's like, y'all can keep pushing your rolls, but you can only do it once, and you have to bark like a kobold. So it's a very goofy game, but I think this is, you know, it's what I would want for like a nice lightweight goofy game that you're just, you know, playing with you know, drinking some beers and just pretty casual. So that was the one RPG I picked up, kind of, because the other thing that was at that booth that I saw was Smorgasborg. So it's Kobolds Ate My Baby plus Morkborg. As you can see, it's a very thin pamphlet. It's like a zine, basically, where they take Kobolds Ate My Baby and made it compatible with Morkborg. So this book, while it's mainly just that game in this world, like this is what they said, it is fully compatible with Morkborg. So if you want, you know, if you want to play an actual kobold in a Morkborg, you know, kind of plays like session, you could. It's fully compatible. And it's got, as you can see, the classic Morkborg like wacky art and all that stuff. So very cool. I haven't really read through this, but I've read through pretty much all of Kobolds Ate My Baby. So some fun, goofy RPGs. Last thing I want to go over, I've already talked on a little bit longer than I anticipated, but that's okay, is I have one more bag full of stuff. First off, I got this cool Dice Tower East bag when I got my socks from the Dice Tower booth. And this has, I'll let you take a little peek inside. This is my Keyforge bag. It's got a lot of Keyforge stuff. I played a lot of Keyforge stuff over the weekend, so let's go over some of that. So I already kind of talked about, these are the two decks I won with. Not trying to brag, you know, I won 3 for 3 with this one and 2 for 2 with this one. Barely beat that kid. There was drama about that, because I didn't know about library access being an errata. But the other thing is, I swear, if y'all are a Keyforge fan and you go to GenCon, you really need to do these sealed events, because A, they're a lot of fun. I like them. I like playing Keyforge against random people and having a good time. It also helps Keyforge keep going. You know, the game's not in the best spot maybe right now, and not as many people are playing it as they used to. So I like to try to do what I can to keep the game going. But also, if you're a Keyforge fan, you should do these events because they give you a lot of decks. So these were my other, so I had 3 decks to kind of mash together for my Alliance deck for my first game, but they gave me, I got all these extra decks. So I think they gave me like 4 decks total, or maybe 5 to choose from the first time. Then they gave me, I think, 3 decks or 4 decks to choose from like the second day. And then they also gave me extra decks just after. I think, let me double check that's all of them. I think that is. Oh, no, I was missing one. There's one more. So I just got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I got 12 Keyforge decks. If you're talking from a value, I think these events are like $6 each. So I paid $12 to play Keyforge a couple times, have a good time, get all of these decks for not free, but as you know, I don't even think I got any of these for specifically winning, because what you get for winning is some play mats. Oh, you know, I love some play mats. So the first day I won, I only got 1 play mat, but I got the really cool one, which was the Keyforge official GenCon 2024 board game crunch play mat. I mean, look at that. It is very cool. It's got all the houses across the top. It's got hashtag GenCon 24. Love that. So that was my prize for winning the first day, was getting this. I also got the deck boxes the first day as part of my prize. And what was the other thing I got? A little, where is it? Hold on. They actually gave a lot of prizes the first day because I got the mat, the deck boxes, the key tracker, and some sleeves. I think some of these I might have got the second event I went to, but yeah, I got a premium chain tracker. I got some nice Gamegenic Keyforge sleeves. And then the second day, my winning prize was 2 play mats. So, man, I was having a good time just getting all these play mats. So I picked up the cool House Unfathomable one and the Mars one because I like both of those houses and I thought they were pretty cool looking play mats. Do I need more play mats? No, but you know, I won these with my hard-earned decks. I fought my way through tooth and nail, different opponents. I had the drama with the library access, and the kid almost beat me too. That was terrifying. And then the last few things in my bag were the couple of purchases I actually made at the Ghost Galaxy booth. I bought 3 things. The main reason I went by the booth was this Vault Assault. I had heard about the new game mode shortly before Gen Con. It was being demoed at Gen Con, which I was signed up for, but I didn't do because I kind of bailed early Sunday. But they did have the cards available for like $5. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to pick it up. I don't even know if I'm going to play it anytime soon, but I'd like to have it on hand. They do have it so you can print it yourself. And I'm sure you could, you know, go to one of those sites and have stuff printed out for you. This packaging is really kicking my butt here. Let me see if I can I need to go like get scissors. I wanted to see what it's in the cards because I've never actually opened this yet. I don't even know like what the Vault Assault cards are, but maybe I'll never know. Maybe this packaging is gonna, I try it from this end. Okay, there we go. We got a tear. We're in. Okay, so let's take a peek. I mean, I know there's full rules for this online, so I haven't read through it yet, but I'm curious what the Vault Assault cards are. So it's a competitive variant for 3 to 5 players. So you have this, okay, so you have this concept of boons, which I don't know exactly how they come into play, but you got the security boon that you cannot capture amber. Your amber cannot be captured or stolen. Boon 2 is expertise. Your keys cost -1. Boon 3, destruction. On reveal, choose a creature or artifact. The player to your left chooses a creature or artifact. Destroy both chosen cards. I like that. Boon 4, reveal, choose a house, exhaust all creatures and artifacts of that house. Fun. Boon 5, proliferation, reveal, choose an opponent, you and that opponent draw 3 cards. And Boon 6, stratagem, reveal, choose an opponent, that opponent gains 1 amber. Because of this first player card, you are the first player this round. At the end of the round, the player with the highest initiative becomes the next player for that round. Okay, so that's what the numbers at the top are. Like I said, I haven't fully read through the rules, but I'm a big fan of Keyforge. I'm always trying to play more. So a Vault Assault multiplayer with more than 2 players, I was very interested in picking this up. And while I was at the booth, I saw they had some Unchained and Menagerie decks, which I know are pretty fun and pretty unique. So I picked up a couple of those. That's all I got. That's my Gen Con haul, my experience at Gen Con. And yeah, I think I talked about pretty much everything. Talked about all the drama about me getting kicked out after I flipped over the Scorpion Mask booth for not having dead cells, and got into a fight with a kid over library access at Keyforge. And I guess I don't know if I fully explained this. I did not get the gang. I kind of went over everything else. I did not pick up the gang. Every time I went there, it was either sold out or the line was already at max capacity. So I was bummed, especially because they had the designers for the gang there throughout the con signing copies of the game, which I thought was really cool. And I would have wanted that if I could have got my hands on a copy. Unfortunately, I didn't. Though on the bright side, they did have a pre-order link on their website, so I do have it pre-ordered. And the main thing also that I wanted was they have a mini expansion at Gen Con that also is included on the pre-order online. So I'm like, okay, I'm just missing out on the designer signature and having it right now. But besides that, you know, I'll get it at some point. But that was the one game that got away. Everything else, you know, Arcs I've decided to pass on. Pampero I passed on. Witchcraft I passed on. The Cascadia game I passed on. I got everything else. And like I said, I haven't dug into stuff too deep, but Star Tycoon, I've probably played this last week at least 10 games. It is very fun. And then Search for UAPs, I've probably played like 3 to 4 times the past few days, and it is very fun. Compile, I was blown away by. Gentle Rain, I need to play more. I mean, it's good. It's very calming, very chill. And yeah, I got some other cool stuff. I got my cool socks, all my Keyforge swag. Got some, you know, fun little goofy RPGs to play. Like I'm pretty happy with my haul. I didn't go too crazy with the spending. I got to demo a lot of, I also didn't talk about it, but I demoed a lot of other games that I didn't talk about. You know, there's like a new Star Wars Unlimited card game that I played. I mean, I spent majority of my time in the exhibit hall just walking around, demoing games, watching you know, people demo games, just talking to other people. Like it was a good time. But I did a bad job at demoing the games I had on my list, and I just demoed random other games, but it was a good time. And yeah, besides, you know, the whole getting COVID after, which seems like I'm through, you know, knock on wood. But I took a test this morning. It came back negative, so I'm feeling better. So hopefully that's that. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to next year. Hopefully I can get a downtown hotel. Hopefully I don't get sick again. I went out of my way. I had like a thing of pocket hand sanitizer that I was using between games to try to like be more clean this year and try to like wash my hands longer, making sure it's better on top of my hygiene this year. And this year is the 1 year of the 3 that I get COVID. So like, go figure. But yeah, overall had a blast. Looking forward to next year. And yeah, that's kind of my Gen Con recap. Flipping tables and fighting kids. Oh God, you got Gentle Rain to decompress. Yeah, no, I was stressed. I was sick. I was thrown out. I got into multiple fights. It was not a, you know, I didn't even get into what happened once Cosmos told me they didn't have the gang. Oh man, fists were thrown to say the least. So as much as I want to go back to Gen Con, I don't know if they'll let me back in. Yeah, no, it was good time. And yeah, like I said, I will be back tomorrow to actually play Star Tycoon for Solo Gaming Sunday. I'll be back 5 p.m. Eastern time, so you know, a little over 24 hours from now. And that's kind of that. So yeah, don't want to keep this video going too much longer, so thank you all so much for watching and listening to my rambles as I chat on here. But Yeah, I've definitely probably left out a lot of stuff that I did and games I played and other people I saw, but this was kind of, I think, a pretty good overview. And I wanted to do this sooner rather than later, or else I'm gonna start forgetting more and more. My old brain, just stuff goes in and stuff goes out. So, let me change the music real fast as I kind of start wrapping up here. Let's turn on some. Oh, I always like this. This is good. This is a good kind of end song. Crank this. Oh yeah, that's the one. So thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this quick little Gen Con recap stream, make sure to leave a like. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you all have a great rest of your Saturday, if it's Saturday where you are. And I will see you all tomorrow for a solo gaming Sunday. And I just realized if I go to my end of stream screen, it's going to be for Iron Valley still. Oh boy, someone's getting fired for that. That is bad. Look, someone messed up. I'm firing my editor. All right, have a good rest of your day, everybody, and I will see you tomorrow.
I think it's okay to not have it all figured out, and I think it's okay to be a human full of doubt. Listen, this is the condition that we all living in, and as the world keeps spinning round and round, we just trying to fit in, but at the same time, we try to be outstanding. Hold on to our truth and hope that we stick to landing. And as we live in, our vision gets